So we start off, and our character is described from a different perspective, from an outside perspective. And he's described as a man with a shaven head full of powerful incantations. So it's really quite a stereotypical image of a Japanese kamikaze pilot. By comparing his patriotism and perhaps jingoism to powerful incantations, she implies that there is something almost supernaturally powerful about the values he holds. So an incantation is a spell, such as fair is foul and foul is fair, hover through the fog and filthy air, or double, double toil and trouble, fire burn and cauldron bubble. Yeah, those spells, those incantations we heard in Macbeth. This kind of spell, the fact that his head is almost full of powerful incantations, like a spell, she's suggesting that patriotism has almost a supernatural hold. Like you are under a spell. It suggests there is some kind of mystical, intangible force powering the pilot. Like this incantation is inescapable. And so Garland uses this image of powerful incantations to criticize patriotic and jingoistic propaganda. So the Japanese Empire, it really, really glorified and put a lot of power into being someone who fights for your country. And the kamikaze pilots, they would write a very specific type of poem. And I've read quite a few of them. And they would write, it's basically called a leaving poem. They're very, very sad. But a real common theme in these kamikaze poems is this idea of like, they're doing their family proud, they're off to find honour, they're off to find glory, they're off to find everlasting glory. And it's this idea that it's not so much going to war, it's going to glory. And that is quite shocking, I guess, to read from a perspective of someone who doesn't understand that level of patriotism. That level of patriotism that really exists in World War II in many countries. You'll have seen a lot of the propaganda that was used in Germany, in America, in Britain, and this is one example of that. So she is criticizing patriotic and jingoistic propaganda. And propaganda is any form of text or image that attempts to influence you positively for something. And propaganda for war intends to make you incredibly patriotic to the point where you will happily die for your king and country or for your empire. Okay? Now, in addition to this quotation, which I do like the powerful incantations and this idea of this supernatural and intangible hold. But I also really like the image of the samurai sword. It is a very stereotypical image, but it's an image we can talk about a lot. Because the kamikaze pilot is a pilot, which means he flies a plane. And the purpose is to fly his plane into another ship. So we have to ask ourselves why he's brought a sword with him. Okay? So a samurai sword, this is my terrible drawing of a samurai sword. Please forgive me. It looks a bit like a machete, but let's imagine it's a samurai sword. Okay? A samurai sword is a cultural weapon. What I mean by a cultural weapon is it is specific to Japan. Okay? There are lots of weapons that are specific to the place that they're made. And the samurai sword is specific to training method in Japan to become a samurai, which is an elite warrior. Okay? And this cultural weapon, therefore, because it is so tied to Japan, therefore it symbolises his connection to Japan. It symbolises his cultural identity. And his connection to that identity must be strong. How do we know his connection to his identity must be strong? Because he doesn't need his sword. He is not going into battle. He is not a light brigade. He is not going to slice anybody. Okay, his plane is his weapon. The plane is his weapon. So the sword is his tie to his culture. It is his pride. It is his honor. Okay, and that's what we're talking about in terms of samurai, kamikaze soldiers. It was about finding glory. It's about honoring your country, and it is that patriotism that drove this sacrifice essentially, because it is a one-way journey.